Welcome back. Now let's go ahead and take care of setting this screen up, or at least parts of it. So we're going to start with just getting the title here at the top. So we want to get the card name here at the very top. So let's get started with this. Okay, so let's go into our card list details activity. And here we are going to set up the action bar. So it's going to be the same thing as we have done multiple times already. For example, in the members activity. So let's just copy this function. We're going to use a very similar one, or we're just going to adjust it a little bit. So set up action bar. Here we of course want to use toolbar underscore card details activity, this one. And we want to make sure that we added it here at the bottom as well. The rest stays the same except for, of course, the title, because we want to get the title dynamically. All right, the rest can stay the same. So we get the support action bar. We have an home as up indicator, which is the back button. And then we have the on back pressed functionality. So very similar to what we've done before. And then we can, of course, call this function inside of our on create so that it will be displayed. Okay, so that's step number one. Then what we need is we need to know the details about the position of the card as well as the position of the task list. Okay, we looked at this in the last video. So for example, we need to know which card we clicked on. Therefore, we need to know in which task list we are and then the position of the card itself. And in order to get this information, we can pass it from this activity, so from this boards detail activity to the card detail activity. All right, so let's first of all create a constant because we need to get those values via an intent. And if we put extra information, it's always good to have a key which is easily identifiable and unique. Okay, so we can of course go ahead and use the constants therefore. So here our constants variable, and I'm just going to, or our class, and I'm just going to use the two constants, which will be const val task list item position, which will be a string which says task list item position. All right, so this is number one. And then we have another const val, which will be card list item position. And that one will be the same thing pretty much. So here, let's replace this with card list item position. Okay, so these are the two strings that we are going to use whenever we use the intents. And that's what we need to look at inside of our task list activity. Okay, so here we have this function which we called card details. Okay, so here we start the activity with the intent, but now it makes sense to have an extra variable intent which we can then modify. Okay, so here just gonna say let's create a new intent, then let's put extra information to this intent. So put extra at the position constants dot board detail, and here we want to send over the whole board details object. So if we look at it, it's the board that we're currently at. So that's step number one, or the first information that we pass. And then we of course need to know the task list position as well as the card position. Okay, so here intent, put extra constants dot task list item position. And what do we pass here? Well, our task list position. So this variable that we get from card list details once it's called. And then we do the same thing with the next line, which is the card list position, card list item position. Okay, so here is the card list item position, and then it's the card position. All right, and this intent that we prepared now is what we can send over with this activity. Now, of course, we want to get this information. So we want to get the information from the intent in our card details activity. And I'm going to create global variables which we will use in order to then get those details. Okay, so here private late init will be our mBoard details, which will be a board object, because as you recall, we sent this information over here. We sent the whole board over. And then the next thing is our task list position. And I'm going to use private var m task list position, which will be -1. So that's number one. And then private var m card position, which I'm also going to set to -1. Because if I set them to -1, I know that I don't have the real values, because they cannot be -1. They always have to be positive, right? Okay, and now we need to get the intent data, and therefore we can set up a new function. So private fun get intent data. Here we just check the intent if that has some extra information. So has extra, for example, constants.board details. So if it has the board details, then I want to assign those to mBoard details. So here intent get parcelable extra called constants.board detail. All right, and then we can do another check. So here, if the intent has extra at the position constants dot card list position or task list item position, I think let's start with this one. If that's the case, then assign the task list position. So we call this m task list position with the intent get int extra at the position constants dot task list item position. And here we can assign a default value. So if we get nothing, well, then let's use the default value of -1. All right, so here I'm using default value -1. So maybe it makes sense to put that into 2 lines. And now we do the same thing once again here with the card list item position. So we can just say card list item position should be m card list item or card position. That's how we called it. And that's it. So now we have those checks here where we get, first of all, the board details, then we get the task list item position, and then the card list item position. All right, now we can get the intent data in our onCreate function. So here, get intent data. And now we can use that get intent data inside of our setup action bar. Not the function itself, but whatever were the results, because now we have the board details. And we want to specifically load the title. So here, action bar dot title should be our mBoard details task list at the position of our m task list position, and then the card's name, so cards at the m card position dot name. Okay, so basically we say the board details that you have passed to me, check out the task list, and then check out the card in that position and give me the name of it. So if we look at our boards here, for example, this board here has a task list. All right, so here a task list has multiple entries. So for example, task list at position 0 has cards. For example, the card at position 0 will be card 1, which says, well, which currently has just the name card 1, which is created by a specific user. Okay. So that is what we basically want to work with. All right, and at that point we should get the name once we click on any of the cards. All right, so we should at least get the name in the title here at the top. Of course, we want to get a lot more information, but that's what we'll have to do afterwards. So first of all, let's do that. Let's go to board with image. Let's click on card 1, and we can see here at the top, card 1 is in fact there. Let's test this with card 2 as well. We can see card 2 is there, and card 3 to see if it wasn't chance. It's right there as well. So let's create a random name here as well. Random name. And let's open this one. And we can see random name is up there as well. Okay, so that seems to work. That means that we get the card now, because if we look at it, we can see that here we get the whole card. So we cannot just get the name, we could get anything from the card. Created by, assigned to, and so forth. So now we can, of course, make adjustments. Now card is of type card. And here we will, of course, need to also make changes, because we currently don't have any details about the color, neither do we have details about the due date, and so forth. All right. Also, see you in the next video where we're going to adjust things step by step.